Hi and welcome, My Sweet Lord by George Harrison. The first thing, and I have it in my hand, is you need a capo if you want to play in the same key as the recording. And anybody who's ever played music with me knows that I really have a bit of a pathological aversion to capos. They mess with your intonation, at least my ear tells me something's different, and my sense of touch gets a bit messed up from them. Having said that, you're going to need one, and I'm going to grin and bear it and put it on the 2nd fret. Now, when you've changed where effectively the nut is on your guitar, obviously this E minor chord is no longer E minor, right? It's now as if you were doing a bar chord, so it would be F sharp minor. But in order to save the remaining few brain cells I have melting down, I'm just going to call this what the shape is. So this would be E minor, this would be A, even though I know if you played it on the piano, for instance, that would be a F sharp minor, that would be a B major chord. So now we know the language that we're talking. Let's get into it. The song has some really juicy chords, like a diminished 7 chord, but it's only a shape, it's only a chord, and the sounds can be so rewarding. So don't let those chords put you off if you're less familiar with them. So the start is just 4 times of E minor, going to A, and you hear that strumming, dun, dun, da, ga, da, dum. It goes to the A just ahead of the B, dum, da, da, ga, da, dum. Not 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. It's not sitting so even, it's dum, dum, da, ga, da, dum. E minor, open E, frets 2, 2, and the rest open, 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 open. But let's go more in depth with this chord. Even if you know this chord, and most people have played the guitar more than like a few months, know this chord. For some people it's the first chord you learn. But I like to think, how well do you really know it? How inside of that sound is your ear? How well do you really see it from all different angles? So obviously you've got the muscle memory, the shape, and that's cool, that's useful. And I've just said the numbers, the fret numbers, and that is super useful. That's another great way to learn. But look at the notes, and again, I know we've got the capo, but find those note names. So you'd have the open E, you'd have the B, you'd have the octave E. Just do those 3 strings. And now think, what would they be as numbers? Well, 1, 5, 1, or 8. It's the same thing. Sing them out. Get that gridding in. It's a minor third. You know that if you put your finger here, it's a major, it's an E major with the G sharp, but with the open G string, is a minor third. Ba, 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 major, minor. It's an instant Radiohead song for you there. Open B, which is the 5 of E, the 5th, and another E. So you've got just 3 notes making the E minor chord: E, G, B. The 1, the 3rd, minor 3rd, the 5. Try and see it from all those perspectives, because each has an advantage. Then you go to A, which is A major. We just say A because you only want to say A minor. And that is missing the E string, open A, frets 2, 2, 2, and then open E. And you can play it with a finger on each note, or you can play it as a little one finger bar, but if you do that, avoid the high E, because otherwise you're getting that Bohemian Rhapsody. And I'll probably get a copyright strike now for playing that. So there's your A. Again, let's look at it from all perspectives. So you've got 0, 2, 2, 2, nothing, or open. But what are these notes? Well, A major is made up of A, C sharp, and E. Let's find it. A is the open A. It's a fifth, so that's the E. Then you've got the octave. Just knowing that 1/5 octave, or A, E, A, and being able to sound it out is great practice. Then you've got the third, and that is the decider note. That's what makes it major or minor, and that's why this work is so useful to do. If you count up the major scale, da, 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 you're going to hit that major third. If it was A minor, ba, 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 you'd have the C natural. So we're looking for that major third. So you've got the 1/5 octave, third, and then the open E, if you're including it, is the fifth. E is 5 notes up from A in the scale of A. So try and see all these things in those different perspectives, because it really helps, and you can apply it to everything you do on any instrument, and you can do it even without the instrument. You can just sound out a note. Ah is the third, ah is the fifth, and then if you've got the whole barbershop, ah, you've got the octave on top. Do it in your head. Do it waiting for a bus. Doesn't matter what people think of you. It's much better to learn and be happy than be confused and be trapped and be worrying what people think about if you're humming out loud in a on public transport. It doesn't matter. Let people be people. Anyway, that's your A. So let's do it one more time. E minor to A. E minor to A. E minor, cha, 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 A, cha, 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 do, da, 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 da. Now we're going to change to a D, B minor, and again D, B minor, and then it's going off into another part, another section of that. So D is miss out the 2 low strings, and you've got the open D string, and then frets 2, 3, 2. Get it in your muscle memory. Take your hand away, bring it back, just know that shape, and then start to look inside it like we did with the others. What is a D chord made of? A D, an F sharp, and an A. So we've got open D, that's the root. We've got the fifth, ba, 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 that's the A. We've got the octave. Again, just do those 3, the 1, the 5, the octave. 1, 5, octave. And then you've got the decider note, the third, the major third, the F sharp. Ha, 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 hum. Ba, 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 ba are the notes we're looking for. They're just in a different order. So you've got the 1, the 5, the 1, the 3, rather than the 1, 3, 5. It's not always as neat as that, but the ingredients are the same. So we've got the 1, the 5, the octave, the 3, going to the B minor. And this, of course, is a bar chord. It comes from the A minor shape, but we're bringing it up with a bar chord using this finger on the 2nd fret. So first finger on all of the strings except the low E, which we don't play, on the 2nd fret, and then you can make that A minor shape with the rest of the fingers after it. If you're newer to bar chords, then that in itself is just something to work on, and what you learn from that, the next time you do it, it will be easier until it is just in your muscle memory. But let's look at the fret numbers. So we've got nothing on the big E, and then we've got 2, 4, 4, 3, 2. B minor is made of B, D, F sharp. So we've got the 1, the B, the 5, ba 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 ba, the 5's the F sharp, and there's the octave, B, F sharp, B. Then this middle finger is your decider note, is the 3rd, and that is a D note. You know it because you just played a D chord and that was the D, so we're just repurposing it in this B minor. It's the 3rd. This one of the coolest things about chords is that they're just a few notes, but you rearrange them, you change the root note, the world changes from it, and the sound massively as well. And then the last note is the F sharp, the 5th. So again, these chords are just a 1, a 3 of some sort, major or minor, and a 5. 1, 5, octave, flat 3, 5. I find that learning that, the intervals, is way more useful than the names. I'm looking for that B note on the 2nd fret. The rest, I can work it out like I just did, and I feel more comfortable with it on the piano than the guitar, to be honest. But I know that if I get one note, if I know that that one note is a B, I know that I'm good. The shape is going to take care of the major or the minor quality, and I can figure it out for pleasure and for enjoyment, but I want to be at the speed of music, and that really happens when you're thinking of like shape, muscle memory, where's the root, and then you're hearing the quality as you develop inside it. So you're hearing the you're hearing that sort of structure of how the notes in the chords stack up. But you're kind of getting there fast because of your muscle memory, and the rest is just for the pleasure of figuring it out while you're strumming it before you got to think of where you go next. So we're doing D, same strumming to B minor. It gets there a little early, that B minor. Cha, 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 cha. Then the 3rd time we got D, D sharp diminished 7, going to B7, going back to the E minor and the A. So I'll play it again. D, D sharp, B7, E minor to A. My sweet Lord, and then he's singing. So we know what a D is. Then we've got it's such a great like classic sound. The D sharp diminished 7. Let's just look at it first as a shape. So I'm barring my 1st fret, just the high 4 strings with the 1st finger, and then I'm putting these next 2 fingers, one on the G string on the 2nd fret, one on the E string on the 2nd fret. It's such a cool sound. Horror movie sound. But what is a diminished chord? Well, we've talked about minor and major and what the difference is between them, which is just the 3rd. The 3rd is flattened, goes down a fret or a semitone in a minor chord. Well, a diminished triad, these chords we've been talking of so far, have just had 3 notes, so they're essentially sort of triad, a chord. The diminished on its own would just be a 1, a flat 3, and a flat 5. Okay, so when you're flattening something, you're moving it down in pitch by a semitone. A fret is a semitone on the guitar. So if I just made here a man, that's a stretch, a D sharp major chord. So there's no 7 in this, we're going to come to that later. It's just a major chord. It's the same essentially as the D chord, but we're flipping the fingers, moving it up one, so the root is the D sharp, and the first finger is barring also on the D sharp first fret to make it essentially a bar chord. So we've got fret 1, 3, 4, 3. That makes a D sharp major chord, but we're never going to use this whole shape in playing. It's more you should know it, because then you can visualize it and you know what the sort of parent chord was for that. So if we've got that and we wanted to make it minor, well, where's the third? We've got the 1, the 5, the 1, or the octave, it's the same thing, and the 3. Okay, so that high note has got to go down a semitone, and it makes D sharp minor. But it doesn't matter that it's a D sharp, that's just for this song. It could be an E minor, it could be an F minor, because it's a bar chord. We move it around based upon the shape and the bar, the root note. So that's frets 1, 3, 4, 2, because we moved it, and you can know already, if you know your D minor chord, that it's just that barred. It's really just that simple, it's the shape. But now we've got to flatten the 5th. Well, where's the 5th? Well, we know that that's the 1, that's the 5. We're going to flatten that 5. So again, you've got to jumble your fingers up, and that's a real strange stretch, but like I said, you don't play this shape in like a live performance or in a recording. You're not learning it to play it. I know that sounds paradoxical, but it's not. You're learning it because you've got to know where it's coming from, and because later on you might want to take a piece of it. Chords aren't all about jom ba jom ba jom ba jom, strumming everything all at once, because I don't know, you can do that for a while, but eventually you want to get a bit more selective and take more interesting things from the big parent shape. So that's, sorry, that's a D sharp diminished chord. That's the 1, the flat 5, the octave, the flat 3. It's a cool sound, that. Hear it go from flat 5 to regular 5. That's so useful, and that's so strange when you hear it on its own, the flat 5. But we need a 7. Those frets, by the way, are 1, 2, 4, 2. But we need that 7. So with 7s, well, the octave, when it goes down 1, is the major 7. Goes down another is the flat 7, same as the dominant 7, 2 words for the same thing. But in a fully diminished chord, the 7 is actually a double flat 7. Thanks, music theory, for these mind-breaking words, but that's what we have, that's what we're stuck with. So we've gone from the 1, or the 8, major 7, flat 7, dominant 7, double flat 7. That's where it's coming from. That's a diminished 7 chord. Those numbers again for the frets are 1, 2, 1, 2. Ah, that's the simple way to think, just those simple frets. Learn it in your muscle memory. Move it around, take your hand off, put it back. Call it from the root. So that would be a D sharp diminished 7, an E diminished 7, an F diminished 7. And I wish I had someone in a vampire costume or something to walk by. Anyway, that's then going to a B, B7. That is a very nice chord that, well, I'll talk about the harmonic analysis in a second. But let's do B7, which is nothing on the big E, fret 2, fret 1, fret 2, open, fret 2. it's got this cool little shape. If you know your D7 shape, you can just stick it there, starting on the A string, and then you can put your little finger on that fret 2. What is a B7? Well, a B chord is B, D sharp, F sharp, and when we just say 7, instead of major 7, which would just be a semitone down, so it would be the A sharp, we're talking dominant 7, and we just call it a 7. So that's B down 2 semitones, so B, A sharp, A is the 7th. So we've got a B on the fret 2 of the A string, we've got a major 3rd, a D sharp on the 1st fret of the D string, we've got the 7 there, the flat 7, which is an A on the 2nd fret, which is the A note, and that's coming from the octave. There would be your octave, there would be your major 7, 1 fret down on the A sharp. Here's your flat 7, that A note. Then we've got the open B, that's the octave, and then we've got the F sharp, which is the 5th. I think that's a Creedence Clearwater song, isn't it? Oh, Suzy. Cool. So we're going to go from D sharp diminished 7 to B7. And the best way to practice them is to just cut the rhythm out for a while and just go 1, 2, 3, 4, backwards and forwards. And then see how it sounds in context. So you've got the D sharp 7, B7. I can't even say that and play it, but you know what I mean. My sweet Lord. So he's using that D sharp diminished 7 for a little bit of colour. Then the B7, which goes to the E minor. At this point, now we've got to the verse and we talked about those chords, you've got to say, well, where do these chords come from? Where do they belong? And where don't they belong? Because that's kind of an interest in the sound, is that there's some real searching sounds and there's some really unusual sounds happening. When it starts in that E minor, well, you kind of, your ear is so primed for major and minor, you could be forgiven for just saying straight away, oh, it's a minor key song. And if you know it's E minor, you say, oh, it must be an E minor. But then straight away it goes to the A, which is a major chord, and in a minor scale, the 4th degree, the A is the 4th from E, is usually a minor. Well, it is a minor if you're using the notes of the natural minor. So you have to say then, well, is that A borrowed from somewhere? Is it borrowed from the E major, where the 4 is major? But then all of that gets kicked to the roadside because he goes to D. And that makes things way simpler when you're thinking about what is the key, what is everything else happening, because E minor is the 2 of D. D goes to E, E is the 2nd note. The 2nd degree of a major scale is a minor chord. So, okay, A is the 5th degree of D. D, E, F sharp, G, A. And there's your A. So it's forming a 2 to a 5 to a 1. A 2, 5, 1. And that makes things much more certain. It's just he does it in such a cool way because he doesn't just start on the D chord. So B minor, where does that fit in? Well, B is the 6th of the scale of D, the 6th degree in the scale of D, and that's normally a minor chord. So there you go, but you've got a B minor chord on it. And it all works so great. 2, 5, 2, 5, 2, 5, 1. Hear that after all that toing and froing, it sets you up for when you hear that. To the 6, 1, to the 6. Then you get the 1 I'm thinking of the D sharp diminished 7 just as a chromatic passing note that's had this beautiful chord put on it. If anybody's watching this and you actually understand the theory of that and can offer more insight, please, because I would love to learn more, please put it in the comments, because sometimes these questions of like, where does it come from, can be completely unanswerable. At least I don't have the knowledge to know exactly what to call that, but I'm thinking of it as a chromatic note because it would go to the E minor, and I'll come to the B7 in a second, but I'm just thinking, oh, that's a nice walk up, and you can dress it up with a D diminished 7 going to the E minor, which is the 2 chord. But he's got B7 in there just to stamp his genius on it even further. So we're going from the 1 chord to this D sharp diminished 7, which is pushing us towards an E minor. But to get there, he does a B7, not a B minor, like we had the 6th degree being minor. He didn't do that. He did a B7 chord, a B major chord with a dominant 7, which is not in the scale of D major, going to the E minor to the A. So what is that? Well, the D is the 1 chord. The D sharp diminished 7, there's a lot of words, is a chromatic note pushing up, and he wants to go to E minor, but before that he's hitting the secondary dominant, the 5 of where he's going. B is 5 notes up from E. B7 is the secondary dominant then of the E minor. A dominant is 5 up, but it's not the 5 of the 1 in this key, because in D major the 5 is A and the 1 is D. But he's saying, oh, I'm picking this B7, which is not in the key of D major, and I'm going to the E minor because that's 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like we'd call it a perfect cadence in classical music. And then you've got the A for My Sweet Lord. One moment, because I have to turn my soup off that I'm cooking in the kitchen. I will be back.